Saturday, it's time to kick off the Experts program, and the tech expert, Luis Alvarez of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us right now on Power Talk. Good weekend, good afternoon to you, or good morning, as the case may be, Luis.
Yes, whatever that is. How are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good. A decompression weekend, because there's no car shows this, you know what I mean? Wow, after the intensity of those 10 days between the 11th and the 20th, it's kind of nice to have a weekend to basically collect yourself and take a breath, and then it all kicks off again Labor Day weekend with the Monterey County Fair.
Yeah, we just got a little breather here for about 10 days before it gets started again, and we get inundated with people, but it's kind of nice to be able to drive my car on the road again and not worry about totaling a $1 million car accidentally.
Right. By the way, I saw a story in the Pine Cone, came out yesterday, that there was a really valuable McLaren that hit a tour bus at Pebble Beach last week and basically got totaled. And it turned out that
I heard about that.
Yeah, the McLaren was speeding through the forest. It wasn't the bus's fault. The McLaren was driving at a high rate of speed and blew a turn and ran right into the bus. So
wow, yeah. That's just heartbreaking, but also so irresponsible to be doing that.
That's right. An expensive lesson someone learned.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
LinkedIn is back in the news, and because they have suffered a significant wave of account hacks. If you have a LinkedIn account, you might want to check it. What's happening, and how does it happen to these LinkedIn accounts?
Many of us have LinkedIn or started a LinkedIn account, and we don't really keep up with it. Some people use LinkedIn religiously. I'm somebody who's on there every day, updating my account and making sure that, I use it for business. But we don't really think of LinkedIn as a social media platform, but that's exactly what it is. So the bad guys recognize that if they can get control of somebody's LinkedIn account, they can do things just like they can if they create a fake Mark Carbonaro fake Facebook page, or actually hack your Facebook page and take control of it. So if you have a LinkedIn account, you might want to check on it, especially if you haven't poked at it in a while, because what's happening is that cybercriminals are now actively targeting LinkedIn as a platform that they can use for phishing and for all the other things that they use other social media platforms for. But with LinkedIn, most people don't think of it as social media, so they're not really on alert as much when they get something suspicious from LinkedIn or a connection request from somebody on LinkedIn. They're like, oh, okay, this is potentially somebody I want to do business with or somebody that I want to connect with. But in reality, what they're trying to do is get access to your LinkedIn account so that they can use it to spread malware, for example, or to phish your friends and contacts. So if you do have a LinkedIn account, check into it, because they've been targeted very heavily. And unfortunately, LinkedIn has not been too forthcoming in terms of the number of attempts, the successful attempts versus unsuccessful attempts. So you have to take kind of control of your own account and do what you can to protect yourself, including activating two-factor authentication, which you can do with LinkedIn.
Okay, so that's in your account settings if you want to go ahead and change how you get into your account.
So if you go into your LinkedIn account and into your profile, you'll see a section called Security and Passwords. And when you go in there, you can flip a switch and enable two-factor authentication, either through an app or via text. I prefer an app. It's much more secure than texting. But once you do that, it becomes much more difficult, if not impossible, to break into your account just using brute force password hack, where they just guess passwords over and over again until they get in there. But if you can't get into your LinkedIn account, if it looks like it's been taken over, then contact LinkedIn support right away so they can immediately, or within whatever they define as immediate, disable the account until you can verify that you own it, and then they can give you control back.
Sounds good. Hey, Luis, one other thing I wanted to run by you and mention this, because I saw a story about this last week on Nextdoor, which is a very popular app. But there are some people out in Carmel Valley who had their 2005 Corvette stolen out of their carport at about 2 o'clock in the morning on the morning of the 20th. So that would have been Saturday night into Sunday morning. And they don't know how the thieves found their car. But what I was thinking is a possibility that could happen is when we have these types of events and there's always these expensive cars around town, there have been instances of thefts where professional theft rings that are looking for classic cars will steal them right out of people's driveways or their carports, or even if you're having dinner at a restaurant. So what some law enforcement thinks happens is, and this gets back to our conversation about RFID tags, air tags, is that they see your car, one of these thieves, and they want to steal that vehicle. They can place an air tag, say under a bumper or somewhere in your car. You drive home, and that thing's emitting a signal that that they track exactly to where your home is, and they see your car sitting there in the driveway or in the carport, and boom, it's gone. The next morning you get up and your car's gone. There's an empty space where the car used to be.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening. Yeah, absolutely.
So is there a way that people can find, is there a device that you can use or an app you can put on your phone that you could point at your car and it would say, hey, you've got an RFID tag on this vehicle, it's emanating a signal, and then you can go about having it found?
There are scanners that can do that, and you can find them pretty readily if you do a Google search for RFID scanner or tracker scanner, and it'll search a number of different frequencies. It's kind of like if you ever watch a cop show or one of those FBI shows where they're scanning a room to see if there's any bugs in the room. It essentially does that. It's looking for signals emanating from a device or something that's been placed on your car, but easy to find if you own a classic vehicle or more than one. I know a lot of people that own lots of nice cars that they keep parked outside. You might want to consider getting something like that because it is becoming more and more popular thieves to do this, because that way they don't have to figure out where you live. They just wait till you go home and come in the dark at night.
Right, exactly. And I guess the other thing with those too is I understand that not only have thieves used these, but I've read stories in the news where, say, a guy is stalking a woman that he dated or an ex-spouse, something like that, and they put one of these RFID tags on the woman's car, and that's how they find her, like where she's staying or something like that. And I understand that there are actually, the police can tell you where there are facilities in your city, and they might even have these scanning devices where you can go. So maybe you don't have to buy a scanner yourself, but you might be able to go to a garage, or the police department might even have one where they can scan your car and see if you've got an RFID chip embedded somewhere in your vehicle.
If you do think that something like that is happening, definitely contact the authorities and they'll be able to help you out for sure.
And one other thing that people can do to protect their vehicles, even if you have them garaged, because there are ways that thieves can use universal type of garage door openers to open your garage door. They don't have to have your exact quote-unquote clicker. In fact, on many new cars, they have technology that will scan whatever the gate opener or the garage door opener is and find it and key to that frequency, and then you're in. So one of the things that people can do, and this is just a low-tech, old-style solution, is that you get these slide bolts that you can buy and you attach them to your garage door and then to the frame around the garage door, and you activate those slide bolts when you're not going to be there. Say you're going out of town, or if you feel like the vehicle is so valuable that you need to do it every night, you can do that. The only thing you want to do is to unplug the power cord on the garage door opener, and that disables it from even existing. So no one could even scan at your garage door and see that there was an electronic opening device there. And then if they went and tried to manually open the door, they wouldn't be able to, because these slide bolts would be activated and they basically keep the door from being opened.
Yeah, a friend of mine who keeps a very classic car in his garage. Whenever he goes out of town, he just unplugs his garage door opener.
Right.
He's like, that way I don't have to worry about anybody using it or trying to hack into it. But yeah, I mean, you don't have to get real high tech to protect your vehicles.
There you go. All right, that's Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, joining us today. Online, it's alvareztg.com. @AlvarezTG is the Twitter handle, and Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.